Hey guys, so I got a question on the forums about a couple of questions on the review. So the questions 3 and 4, starting at page 36. And so the question was kind of, when does the answer look like this versus when does the answer look like that, versus how come we don't do anything more with that answer? And so it's sort of the formatting and what to expect in terms of these directions and how the answer should end up looking. So let me just run through these 8 examples, and I think there's about 5 different things going on here. So it's a really great question worth looking at. So for 3A and C, those are actually the same thing, even though the answers look really different. So A and C are both evaluate. So these are both where we're going to plug something into a given expression. And since this one has an x in it, I get some equation involving an x. And since this one is just numerical, I just get a numerical answer. And so then the question was, why wouldn't I factor this and keep solving? Because it looks like it would go -9 and +2. And so let me kind of show you. If I have this and nothing else is going on with it, which is what we have right here, this is just this expression that we got. There's nothing to solve. There's no like terms. There's nothing to be done. If I needed to keep going, what would have to be there is equals 0, because it's this equals 0 that takes it from being an expression here to an equation here. Once I have it equaling something, then I can solve to figure out what makes it equal to 0. But this is just like, it's just an expression. There's no direction to it. There's nothing to be done with it. It's as simple as it can be. But this, on the other hand, this would absolutely have to keep going. And so if we throw that over there, then that's where we're doing this, because it's a solve, and then we get these solutions. But if we're not saying it equals something, it can't have answers to get to that something. And so that's what's going with these two. These are just evaluate, so they're just basically plugging something in and seeing what happens. These two actually are solves. We're finding x, we're solving for x. So in this one we have this expression and then equals 10. So this equals, and it's a little confusing in terms of the equals. This equals is just saying it's the equivalent of this, so we're doing this operation to it. This is saying, hey, figure out what I plug in for these x's to make it come out to -10. And that's where we bring this over, we get our equals 0, and then we have to factor and solve, because if you plug 6 and -3 back into this original expression, those are the two values that are going to come out to -10. And then this one is the same as this, it's just it equals 0, so it's a little bit more direct. So then on this next page, these are all expressions. So if you notice, I could have written equals in front as in saying this equals this little operation it's telling me to do, but there's no equals some value, some number over on this side. And so I can't go any further with these answers. They're all just simplify. There's no solving going on. And then you go, but wait, on this one I did factor. I did factor on this one. It's still a simplify, but much the same way that if I simplified and I added a couple of fractions together, and so let's see, I'm going to make up something and then it's not actually going to simplify. So let's say I have 2 fractions, something plus something, and then I get the answer 8/10. And so this is done, but I could factor it, and then I can reduce. And so you're still simplifying. So in this case, I did have to factor the numerator, but it was only to see if I could reduce it with the denominator. So I'm not solving, it's still a simplify. So hopefully that clarifies those 8 examples.